So wat kan nou niet doen?
I'm just knitting a chevron snoot, one I've kind of made up myself. So just in some Shetland mercer for Jamieson's.
Yeah.
Just multicolored, nice bright rainbow.
I know, it looks lovely. Is this for resale?
Well, depending on the size, it might be for one of the nieces. So we'll see how we get on.
Yeah.
It's a fine, easy knit.
And just kind of gotten back into knitting, is it?
Yes, so obviously knit it when I was at the school, like most always, and it's never really continued after. And I think, yeah, we will wait, then you just kind of, it's more, you can do it than that. And Mum, she always knit it, machine knit it in Fair Isle. So kind of when she was started knitting again, like after a stroke, then I would help cast on, so I realised I could still knit.
Oh yes.
And yeah, we Instagram and seeing what kind of folk my age was knitting, then you were like, well, you can pick it up and do it. And so started off, I was actually the Allegorian hat cowl, which is a good one because it's a lot of plain knitting, and then you get into the pattern. So I really enjoyed doing that, and then after that I was more or less hooked and always see something on the wires and always marking something, whether it be for me or gifts for folk and that. So no, really enjoy it.
And
like
did you kind of work with the lace nicely to begin with, or did you?
I did, yeah. I did a lot of
Fair Isle and the lace.
Yeah, I did a lot of open work to begin with. I was a bit afraid to Fair Isle. It was a bit like, oh, a lot of tights and that, but I was actually die cowl, the click 'em in cowl.
Oh, right.
That was my first Fair Isle.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I made him, and just for that, doing a few Terry Laura cowls.
And what makes the kind of grand to do with the cowls? Is it
I think it's a fine knit. It's a kind of good rhythmic knit, and there's no much shipping to it, and so it's a fine, easy. You can kind of just pick it up and work with it and set it back down and come back to it weeks later. And everybody likes a cowl. It's an easy thing to wear because, I mean, as much as I love wearing it, I can't really wear it on my head.
Yeah.
So a cowl, I can stand that. And yeah, gloves, just not gotten on the gloves yet.
No.
That'll be the next one.
And there's always a breeze in Shetland to keep it.
Well, yeah.
to keep out. Yeah. What about any of the rest of you? What are you making on?
I'm a bit like Anne, I quite like a cowl. I quite like a cowl for, I don't know, just kind of a fine, easy kind of, I would say quick knits, not always a quick knit, but I kind of like doing different varieties of things. I like having different things on the go, so I've got a Regent Star cowl, but I don't ever tend to use the colours that comes in the patterns. I like to play with the colours.
Yeah.
See, there's so many colours, you're so inspired by the colours that I like playing about with colour and see if I can get it to work or not work. But I'm not very good at swatching. I think I want just to go into things, and then it kind of surprises me when I'm like, oh yeah, it does work. I don't know, maybe we should swatch more, but sometimes I think I want just to go for it and see what I get.
Well, and especially with a cowl, it's not too big.
Yeah.
Again, if you do have to tack back a few rows that you didn't like, then you can. It's not too many. Kind of, if it was a jumper or a tank top or something.
Yeah, painstaking work.
So did you put this colours to sell, or?
Yeah, I did get Louise to help me as well. I wanted something bright because the original is bright. The original pattern was bright, so I wanted to stick with the bright, and then I picked this one's. But being part of Jamieson's, then you've just got that array of colours, and you just can't help but see them all and decide what you want to do to keep it. Yeah, to inspire you for colours. And I've got lots of pretty projects in my head that I want to go to next, but I can't seem to knit fast enough.
I think we all did that.
I've also come to the conclusion that knitting is one hobby and buying patterns and yarns is a separate
hobby.
Yeah, that's right. And you said about Louise, that's the sister-in-law, is it? That works at the mill.
At the mill, yeah. That's kind of how I ended up back into knitting again. I married into the Jamieson family, and still kind of ignored knitting for a while. My granny had knitted and my great aunts had knitted, and thought that was very good. And even working with the wool, I was still never tempted until, well, like Anne said Wool Week, and Julian, you were a bit the same. We did Buzz a Wool Week around Shetland, and working in the mill when other visitors came to Shetland, and how enthusiastic they were about knitting and wear wool. And I thought there's so many of us in Shetland that learnt in school that have lost that. So I was tempted. It did kind of persuade me back in to trying again. And then again, you're working in the mill and seeing all the colours and stuff. That can but inspire you, or like,
when you're seeing it all the time,
seeing it all coming
on
through
the shelves and the
colours together. And
yeah.
So definitely got me back in, and I think I've had something like that and something on the wires ever since I started again. So
that's really good.
Yeah, it's fine. I've not plucked up the courage to try something like Jolene, like a big jump or anything yet, but I get there.
So you're not just a winter knitter, Brian?
No, I have. Yeah, I knit all the time, something on the
quite
go.
Quite a few Shetlanders aren't they? Just knit through the winter time, and you kind maybe don't knit very much in the summer, but
I quite like just with a cup of tea after tea. I would just sit with my cup of tea after tea and do 2 or 3 bits, and then away go for the night, go to the garden or whatever. And so no. And then the winter, I might sit a bit like it.
And what does the think that you get out of it?
Well, I like the accomplishment of seeing things that I've done. I like to go, I made yarn, and I suppose I surprised myself with what I can do from learning to knit back in school, where I think the knitting teachers were brilliant, but they really did a lot for you. I mind knitting. I didn't mind casting on. I didn't mind fixing my mistakes. I didn't mind finishing. So I've learnt a lot in the time, and I would actually jump to YouTube quite a lot. I don't know how you follow. It's brilliant for. I see a pattern I want to do and see stitches like I have no idea what yarn initials mean, and then put that into YouTube, and then there's a video of somebody showing you what to do. Technology has definitely helped, I think, when you've not got the elder generation there anymore to maybe guide you like they did or would have done. But no, I just enjoyed the achievement of seeing something that I've done. And something to wear.
Well, that's right, yes, and then the colours that you like too, and that maybe goes with your clothes.
Well, I actually did that. I had a jacket. I've got a blue jacket that I wear that has a red trim on it, and I usually would wear a blue scarf or a grey scarf. So I took the Harriet's hat pattern and I knitted the hat out of the colours that matched my winter clothes.
That's brilliant.
And then when I finished that, I thought, I want to make yet another snood cowl. So I took a Marie Wallen pattern and totally changed the colours in that, and added bits in, but used the same colours as I'd made in the hat to match the Fettler cowl. I think it's the Fettler cowl.
Customised.
So
hand knitted by you.
I need to get a new jacket, then I'll need to
whole new accessory set.
Whole new outfit. But even just doing something like I was like, it's actually I don't know, kind of proud of what your pretty achievements that you've managed to do, and
absolutely, and very
put it together, and
very few wool mills going there.
Absolutely.
How far are you from Mullin's house?
2 minutes walk. So no, I don't know. I just like playing with the colour too. Like I see a pattern, love a pattern, but think I'm not just wanting to copy the pattern, so I try and add my own twist onto it. So
and it makes it more interesting, doesn't it?
Play with the colour. So
no, that's good.
There's that much to choose from too. The internet's and Instagram, and it's amazing to see what folk are doing with Shetland wool all over the world, that you're kind of inspired by what they're doing too.
Well, you do go down the rabbit hole when you get onto Ravelry, because there's just so much. You go and look for one thing, and then you come off with like 3 of the patterns.
Mine was like that.
That's right.
And especially when you go into like the Jameson shop, you go in for like 2 balls or something you need for a project, and you come out with a bag full of it.
Yes, it's not just the visitors that ends up buying more than they planned, is it?
I think that's the thing. The visitors always think, "Oh, you're so lucky. You can just nip into Jameson's for 1 bar of wool and you get you want."
It's never one.
No, that's right. Yes, how did you get on when you was choosing the colours for the new pattern?
Well, I found one actually that I like it, so I'm kind of going to copy that one. But it's our colours I like. I like my reds and purples and pinks, so I had a pretty good stash of them already.
Oh yes, that's good.
I did go in the other day just to get some lighter ones because I tend to be more the kind of brighter, bolder colours. But so yeah, it's going to be interesting because this is my biggest project ever. I've been a bit nerve-wracking.
And what's the name of?
It's next year in Larrick.
Oh yes,
And
Tori.
Tori Designs, because I've only done hats really and a couple of cowls, and I've done one glove so far as well, but this is the biggest one, and I've been putting it off and putting it off, but I think the time's come just to be brave and get it going. And the aim is to have it ready for Wool Week next year, which will hopefully be next year in Larrick.
Yes, hopefully it will. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
That's a good omen, maybe.
Well, this is it. So I'm not entirely convinced it'll be Wool Week 2022, but it'll be Wool Week sometime.
They'll be wearing it, do you mean?
Yeah, I'll be ready for then.
Oh no, I have no fair already.
No.
Because how many fair things has there done? Because there's certainly done a few hats before
I've done
this.
a lot of hats now.
Yeah.
I have.
So how many does you think there's done in the last, say, year or 2 years?
In the last 2 years, probably about 20 odd. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, you can, if you were to add up the number of hats and then to a jumper, you'd be surprised.
Well, this is it.
So I'm sure that would be achievable.
Well, this is it.
And you'll get faster as well.
Well, compared to when I started, like my first hat was the Booster beanie, and so like fine simple pattern, but it took me about a month to knit them. So, but
was that because they was having to tack back and?
No, surprisingly, I never had to tack back.
Oh,
I was
good.
quite proud of myself that I managed to do it like and follow the pattern, but it just was the speed of my knitting. And I was at the beginning where I certainly was a very tight knitter, and I think that is the tendency when you start off in Fairwell, you pull too tight. So that was definitely something I had to learn how to do, was to slacken off a pretty bit. But
yeah, I think because we're all concentrating so much when it's something new and you tend to hide the thread tighter. And
when you do,
but the other looks very good. There's plenty of stretch with him. That. Yeah.
No, it's the Booster beanie. So I ended up taking a night class, and this is what it was, a night class with Marjorie doing at Loose Ends, and almost what she suggested. 'Cause I told her that the one thing I wanted to be able to do was knit the next Wool Week hat that came out, which was the roadside beanie.
Oh yes.
And so I did get him done, but going for the Booster beanie to the roadside was quite a big jump because there was a lot more involved with him, and it was when I had to learn how to carry my flots as well.
Yes.
But it was a good learning curve in one too, and a much more intricate croon on him as well. But he was ready 2 nights before Wool Week 2019, so I got there.
Good.
But we were asking Catherine about whether she's a winter knitter, and I must admit my knitting does tend to slow down in the summertime, but working as a tourist guide, I think that's kind of when you tend to it's summertime is my busy time.
Well, it will be, yes.
So my knitting does kind of take a bit of all back set. So it's been one advantage of the lockdown, is being able to have a bit more time for knitting.
Yeah. And what sort of brought you back to knitting then? Because there was had a bit of a gap, wasn't there, for learning at the school?
Well, this is it. Exactly the same as Catherine. You learned how to knit and you learned how to purl at school. You didn't get how to cast on, cast off, or fix a mistake. But both my grannies were knitters and my mum was a knitter, and I'd always wanted to get back into it. And I decided about 8 years ago I was going to learn how to knit. So I went into Jamieson's and I found the pattern that was got the easiest 2 rows you could find. I thought, well, I didn't actually ken what these past slip stitch overs mean, but I'm sure I'll find a YouTube channel. But it's just 2 rows, that's fine and simple, repeat it 140 times. Got myself a nice bonny colour of ultra yarn, took it home, told my mum I was bought myself my first knitting project, and it was this new shell scarf in ultra yarn. She said, I didn't mean to discourage you, Jolene, but it's maybe not a good idea to start with less weight yarn for your first project. So it did kind of discourage me a pretty bit. No mum's fault, but I just this was another 6 years before I finally did my night class, and by the end of the first night, then we were knitting for a island around. Well, so it didn't take long to pick up.
Yes.
But I did, after hearing that list is on the endangered list of the crafts now, I have gone back and I finally cast on and gotten going with my new shell scarf.
Oh, that's lovely.
So And I do quite a few working projects at the minute, which when I first started that, I was kind of pretty bit concerned about how many half-finished things I hate, and then I realised it's perfectly normal to hate some, and I did.
And I think it's kind of how you feel at the time and what the situation is.
Exactly.
If you're hitting a yarn like this, you want something a bit easier.
Exactly.
I thought it maybe meant you're more of an accomplished knitter when you had 2 or 3 projects you hadn't actually finished.
Well, I was quite chuffed. I was on I'm in a Facebook group for knitting, and there was one wife in there, and she'd counted up, and she had 24 half-finished
my heavens.
working projects, so that made me feel a lot better about my half a dozen.
But do really get started questions about feral marking as well, if there's a tour guide?
Yeah, no, we do. Folk are very interested in knitting, and it's even given me the confidence. We've had inquiries in the past about tours around the wool heritage, and we've actually it's given me the impetus to start doing that. So me and wife guide Anne Frost, who does the I Thought I Knew How podcasts, have 4 wool holidays coming up in 2022.
Oh, I see.
And she was actually somebody I met through Wool Week. It was really Wool Week that spurred me on, because I met that many fine folk working. I had a part-time job in the local supermarket, and you just met that many nice folk coming from all over the world, and I just thought I really want to be involved with Wool Week, but there's no point until I can learn how to knit.
Well, that's absolutely true.
And so that was the kind of push, and I wanted was just to be able to mark the Wool Week hat, and it's been fine since then. But I went to Wool Week 2019, and I just had the best week. It was a brilliant time. Made some lovely friends. Anne was one of them. Anne had been quite heavily involved with promoting MRI markers.
Oh yeah.
And me and my mum had both joined the MRI markers knitting group, and that had been really good for getting my mum back into knitting, because when we were younger, she knitted commercially on a machine, but she'd been kind of more crocheting rather than knitting for a lot of years, and with me asking her so many questions and getting her to help fix my mistakes, to teach me how to fix mistakes, then that got her back into knitting too. So we ended up joining the MRI markers, and that was kind of how I met Anne, and then just a whole bunch of other friends at Wool Week that I still speak to now, and some of them are coming back again next year, so it'll be lovely to see them again.
Yes, it's a lovely community, isn't it?
It really is.
And meeting folk with your common interest kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it can really open up all sorts of conversations.
Yeah, no, this is it.
And then I think you realise as well how much you care about marking without realising it too.
Yeah.
Just because we're brought up around it and hate the marking at school. Yeah.
Exactly.
And you still were able to get marking at the school, Nicole, weren't you?
Yeah, I was actually one of the last groups that kind of got it. It was cut off just when I was leaving school.
Was it?
But that was definitely one of my favourite subjects at school. It was one of the things I definitely excelled at. I just was able to knit really easily. That came to me. So it's kind of sad when that kind of stopped, but
yeah.
That was
and do you have a long knitting heritage in your family, or is it the first thing?
Well, my granny knits, and she knits a lot, but it kind of skipped me mum and dad's kind of generation. I went straight to Wiss. And even then, I don't think many of our cousins knit. It's just kind of our family that marks up. So there's not much in the past of Wiss knitting, like really. It was just when I was younger, and then I kind of stopped when I hit like high school age, was doing exams. I just stopped knitting, and I didn't really pick it up again until I was 18, I think it would have been. And again, as soon as I started, it was like I just fell in love with it. I was like, I need to be knitting Fidel. I just loved it. Even choosing the colours, it's just amazing.
Yeah. What does the feel do? Gets it to it? Like what you did?
Just the satisfaction of seeing colours come together. I just love that. Like seeing how one's mixed. And it seems you didn't really expect. You're like, it's never going to go, and then it does. And I love that feeling, seeing it come to life. It gives you a boost,
doesn't it?
Yeah. Usually I'm never actually, again, no swatcher. I think I've knitted a swatch twice. Like it's just, I just go straight in. I'm like, I need to be marking it. I need to be throwing it together right way.
Yeah, it'll fit somebody.
Yeah.
But I guess after you made a few things, you kind of, your hat or your cowl or whatever is your swatch, isn't it? That you can measure it for there.
Yeah, it's that kind of when I first started, my tension was super loose,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew it's kind of roughly the same, and I kind of get used to the same tension, so I kind of what size it's going to be roughly. So that's kind of handy, because I only ever use the Spindrift Jamieson's yarn, really.
Oh, well,
It's mainly the one type that I use,
Mm-hmm.
so that's fine.
So then you can while you're at with it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same size needles and.
Yeah, I'm pretty much always on the same size needle, unless I'm doing a rib. It's always the same.
Yeah. And has still got anything with you just made lately, or?
Yeah, I've got a few different projects on the go. I always have like 4 or 5 projects started and no actually finished. So this scene that I'm marking new is actually going to be in the Wool Week annual this year.
Oh,
In
exciting.
a slightly different colour. This is just a bit warmer. It's in blues and greens, and it's a bit of a tongue twister, but it's got the sea swell snood. So, if you can say it. But yeah, that's my newest one that I've kind of been working on.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, I'm not sure if you've got one, so we made kind of few earrings I had. The most popular earring that I've been knitting recently is definitely Dot Pellier hat.
Oh yeah, I also
He
got
just
just
seems
one.
to be flying off the shelves. I had to steal this one from my dad because Sardines that he'd made had sold. And I was like, I need one to tap to me. So I stole that one, but it seems to be the most popular. And it was just, I launched it around Dot Pellier, and I think that maybe just like, amplified it. Everybody was like, oh, we need that colour. So it just,
And it's got such fiery colours too.
yeah, it's quite like bright.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I just thought, throw some of them colours together, because that's my favourite part of the night, is when they first like set off the flares and the ass starts getting the torches lit up.
Yeah, the glow.
That is just the
Yeah.
best feeling, seeing
And that
that.
smell and the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
So I was like, I need to knit a hat that matches that kind of feeling. And I was like, use them colours.
Well, there's definitely achieved that.
Get a warm glow of them.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. But there's kind of made a career with making new things.
Yeah, well, I think after like a year of knitting again, I kind of thought I want to be doing this at a time. And I was knitting, like my work was just marking on the machines, and I was going home and knitting on the needles, so it was constant. And I just thought I want to be selling some of my patterns, because I was always coming up with new ones. And yeah, it's just been, every single day I'm thinking of something new pattern wise. I've got a pretty book that I just scribble out my ideas in. I mean, I'll never get to any of them probably, but it's nice to hear them. I might do it when I'm older.
That's a good tip though, is to
Yeah, always
Okay.
tack note of what you've been thinking, because I love going through it afterwards. Like I found a notebook from when I was at college, and it was when I was sitting in lectures and I was like, I've got an idea, and I've been like putting notes on the sides of papers, and I'm like, oh, okay, I could do one. So it seems it's come to me for that. But yeah, that's always a handy tip. Take note.
And but there's sort of working with the machine knitting at Ninian now.
Yeah, working on the
And
machines.
how long has it
there.
been there?
I started when I was 14 as a Saturday lass, and it just kind of gradually grew in there. So I started as a Saturday lass, and then I got a part-time job, and then as soon as a full-time job became available, I just went for that. I really needed it, so I've been there full-time ever since.
And
So
when
that's
did they slip you on the machines?
I actually started on the machines in my first week there.
Really?
Yeah, because I started as a work experience, and they were like, you're gonna mark a snood from beginning to end. And so I think my first day was choosing the yarn, knitting it up on the machines. I was linking and sewing and washing, and I just loved it. Like I'd never used a machine before that day, and I just, afterwards they kind of saw I had a knack for it, and I really enjoyed using it, and they hadn't really hated that before. So
That's really
after
good.
that, I was just always on them.
What a great opportunity, and
I
just
know.
obviously for the right person too.
I was so lucky getting it, yeah, because they hadn't offered that to anybody else. And I wasn't actually meant to be going there for work experience, because it was a separate week at school. And I said, I'm wanting to go into something a bit more crafty. And so I said, can I go a different week, and I'll come into school on the week that everybody else is on work experience. And Joanna was on board for that. So I managed to get that week there, which I'm very thankful for, because it's obviously where I've spent most of my time.
It's just meant to be, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was obviously meant to be.
Serendipity.
Yeah.
That's really
It's been
good.
super.
Yeah, and it's lovely to see somebody young having a pattern in the Lowick annual as well. I mean, I kind of, there's been other ones too, but
Yeah, it's my first year being asked to put a pattern in, so I want to say when the email came through, I was buzzing. I was so excited, because Wool Week's just my favourite time of year.
yeah,
It's up there with Christmas.
yeah.
I just love that time of year.
I know. Yeah, I get that too.
Yeah.
But it was the sister that kind of got thee back into it again, wasn't it, Annika?
I dragged her along. I was
knitting night and I was wanting her to come along. I was too scared to go by myself. So, yeah, she was happy to come with me.
And that was at Wilma's at Conisborough, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wilma Malcolmson.
Yeah, every second week we went on Monday night. Yeah, really good. It was just really relaxing. It was just sitting and drinking cups of tea. Yeah.
And was Wilma kind of teaching you techniques, or were you just bringing along what you hate down the wires? Or?
She was definitely, well, for me, teaching me as I was going along, because I went right up the pre-markers, and good that she like brought me up, because I remember I was on my phone case, like it was, we have a pattern that she always gives us as you move up, and it was a Shetland phone case, and I was like, yes, I'm moving up. And I was only halfway finished when I was going out of P7. I was like, no, how am I going to finish this without her? And then she asked me to come along, and I was like, yes. And she helped me finish it, and I was so glad. And then she put me onto a lace scarf, and I got that finished. I think I've actually brought it with me as well. And got a lace scarf finished, and then I picked, she asked me what hat I would like to do, and I picked the most awkward hat to knit for my first hat.
Oh, I see.
Do you agree?
Yeah, the colours are like next on the shade chart, like they're so similar.
I see.
It's just the most awkward one you could have chosen.
Yeah.
You're like, this is the colours I like.
Yeah. It was all like purples and pinks that was nearly the same colour, and it was very detailed, but it was, I got it finished. Took me very long.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing it though. But yeah, I used a lot of her help.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I think she's very generous with her time, isn't she, with the young folk?
Yeah.
I think there's quite a few that's been through her groups, either with Shetland pre-markers or her own pre-classes that she did, wasn't there?
Very grateful for her.
Yeah. And have you got your lace scarf wheel?
Yeah. It's the same colours as I did the hat. I've actually got the hat with me as well.
Oh, well, let's see this, yes.
This was the hat.
Oh, that's
Lovely.
bonny.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, I've lost the colours on.
This is the lace scarf.
Oh, it's lovely. And it's really, it's kind of more modern colours too. You kind of, I guess when you're a teenager you would have been keen to wear it.
Yeah.
White with the dirt maybe.
Yeah, I just loved it. I was so happy to just get it done. And I was so happy to like start it, and I was like, yes, I'm starting a Fair Isle hat. And then I was getting to this point, I was like, I don't know what colour I'm using now. Yeah, I was using Nicola's help, I was using Wilma's help. Yeah, big support system. That's what I like about knitting, is it's like a community. It's like a lot of people helping, and you could do this, you could do that, and I like that.
It's definitely good with the go to a marking group and you get other folks input and help other folk, and everybody's got their own pretty thing they flourish at, and you can draw on that whenever you need it.
Yeah, we're lucky to have so many groups in Shetland, really, aren't we?
Yeah.
But I guess
every parish has got one now.
Yeah. Well, I guess everything that's happened over the last 18 months, then there's a lot of online groups too, and I don't know if anybody's joined any of that kind of things.
I came definitely the marking group that my mum and sister-in-law go to. They had like online Zoom ones in lockdown, and they really enjoyed just that connection, kind of like catching up with folk and that.
And I guess sharing what they're marking on, and it's handy if you have a question, I suppose, on something, and yeah.
Even sitting listening to needles going. You don't need to be speaking, just hearing needles going as you're knitting. It's amazing hearing that. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, you need a good microphone for hearing that on the Zoom meetings or the video calls. Yeah. And does you prefer, Annika, the lace or the Fair Isle that we did Makkin both thought?
I would definitely say Fair Isle. I really like seeing the pattern come in.
Yeah. And is that where the colours develop and as it goes through the pattern? And yeah.
I would say I'm not as good as picking colours. That would definitely be Nicole to go to. I do go to Nicole when I pick colours. Yeah, I'm not good at it at all.
Do you think that that's practice, or is it just how do you think? What's the difference between you? Do you think, or is it for you, Nicole? Is it more of a gut instinct, or is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I can go in and just be like, here's the colours that are going to work, and I like seeing them next to each other. I don't know. Yeah, I never really thought about it. It's always just been something that came to me, like I could just pick colours together.
Yeah.
And maybe being at Ninian's helped and having to mark up Fair Isle there and seeing how things sit, but it's always something I've just been able to do. But yeah, I think just seeing how ones sit next to each other is such a fun of it.
Yeah.
So I've always loved that. But yeah, you can pick colours.
Not well.
Maybe just needs more confidence in the colour picking. It's lovely what there's Makkin knew anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's Harriet's hat.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it's always surprising how the colours, the colours can make a pattern look so different. You can see half a dozen Harriet's hats. I mean, the agricultural shows is good with that. Then they would have the competitions where it was either the Woolwick hat or the Harriet's hat, and unless they were all lying together, you might have thought they were different patterns. That can really. It depends on whether the pattern colour is the more brighter one or the background is. It can fairly alter things, can't it? Yeah.
Colours can completely change a pattern, I think. Completely, and you'd always choose something different for somebody else. Like everyone's got different tastes.
Yeah.
So it's hard to choose colours for somebody else, but they always look so different. And I always see colours in like shows, for example, that I would just never have put together, but works so well, and it's always a good idea.
Yeah.
It just works.
I mind younger when Pop was choosing colours for Fair Isle, it always had to match and kind of shade and blend in.
Like Mama's.
Yeah. But now you're getting like the Caldo's Makkin. You've got completely different contrasts, and it does work. And some of the more vintage stuff you pick up in charity shops or on eBay will just have a pop of colour that you would not have thought to put in, but it completely works. And you just wonder, well, why did they decide to put in that pop of orange? Was it just they had 10 cans left and they thought, right, let's do it. So, but yeah, I think really anything works kind of with Fair Isle, just.
I definitely think it's a bit of a skill, eye for colour, and a trained skill. I think it is a practice to play with colour. It's why I like to play things myself, and I think, no, it's not as good. Like Wilma, I love Wilma's stuff, her eye for colour, but she's all really blending. And then when I do stuff, I don't do that. Which, I don't know. I did think one of the things I was going tonight, I thought, right, I'm going to really try and really kind of blend these colours together. But yeah, I really need to try something like that. I think everybody's got a different eye doing what folk think they like and what works, and
What you're
lots of
drawn
things
to.
work. What you're drawn to, yeah. Colours you're drawn to, yeah.
I think I'm a bit more like you. I tend to go for like quite vibrant, popping kind of colours. There's
Yeah.
no blending with mine either, but I did find you can mark some things no work because the brown boat on this blue didn't really stand out very well. And what I did, I'm in black and white because I was kind of doing a sort of previews on my Instagram. But I always did it in black and white, and you couldn't see the boat as well. So it just kind of didn't pop enough, but. It was an interesting one. As I say, it was only my second hat, but it was a really good sort of learning curve about colours.
But I think that's the thing though, every time you mark a new project, then you learn something, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Whether it's about colour, or tension, or stitch, or some kind of decreases, I think that you're always learning.
I think so. Depends by the time you want to rip it back and go.
Yes.
Spread it back.
Yeah.
Back it back.
Yes. Yes, practice. We're kind of Shetland word, isn't it? For just hauling out the wires and ripping it all back.
I think that's probably the most traumatic bit of school knitting was having your knitting spread back.
Yes, by the teacher, and just seeing the last 6 rows of it disappearing and going, oh.
You have to pluck pluck up the courage, I think, to pull out your wires and bring it back. Takes a pretty bit of geeing up to do.
It does. I feel that way too.
The good thing I think though Makkin with Shetland was is that like if you do pull out the needles and spread, then the stitches are still there. They didn't all run down.
No.
Like this maybe we have more slithery yarn or something.
Yeah.
And a slippery one, and that's easier to pick up your stitches. And speaking about spread, what other Shetland marking words do you use, or have you heard your neighbours or grandfolk saying?
Well, Granny always used to speak about her sweaty gang, which was the first row after she did her cast on.
Oh yes.
And it's kind of funny because it's the same like Sfera in like Swedish means difficult. Because you do find that your first row after your cast on is always your hardest row just to get it pulled together and get it the right tension. And she would always speak about you didn't speak to her, or she wouldn't. If you wanted a cup of juice or something, you had to wait till she was done her sweaty gang before she could do anything else.
Yes, I know, and if you drop a stitch in your the sweary gang, it was just depends where you come from in Shetland, isn't it? It's either your sweary gang or your or I'm not even going to pronounce how do says it. But, yeah. So it's it can be kind of tricky. Got to put any other words that. Because you have a bag at Jimieson's, we
do. We have lots of words on them.
We do.
I think lots of different folk use different words too, or
yes, for different parts of Shetland.
Some folk would use words that other folk maybe wouldn't use. Tacky sock isn't to do your knitting. I mind when I was pretty, my granny used to speak about a tacky sock, and I always thought she was speaking about actually a sock.
Yeah.
That's knit a sock. Tacky sock. Yeah.
Whereas it's really just anything. Anything you're knitting on is your sock.
Tack your knitting up.
Yeah.
Even just marking is a kind of an interesting one. We can, you'd always speak about whether you're marking or like
that's right.
or what tack you're marking, that sort of thing as well.
Yeah. Whereas in other places it might be that you can marking something we cared or either articles like wood or metal or something like that, or jewellery or whatever, but your marking here is always your knitting.
Yeah, that's not awesome. And then snood was another one we spoke about earlier too, even we were different ways we might even say that word around Shetland too.
Oh yes,
Getting something in a twist or a... I would say snood, but what would you say?
Getting in a snood.
Yeah.
Like when if your yarn was twisted. Then it's gone in the snood.
If anyone was watching me, I paid that the night too.
Yeah.
And how would you say that?
It'd be snood.
Snood.
Yeah. And then turry, I suppose. Is that the Scottish word though, turry, or is it the Shetland one? For a hat, for a knitted hat, a turry.
I assume that's a Shetland one. I've not heard it used in other parts of Scotland.
No. Yeah, and then a cap, of course, as well. A knitted cap. I suppose that's more like the feral cap would be the style of that one. Longer.
You have that,
I did one of them.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Like I say, I like my
That's
vibrant
lovely.
colours. You can spot me when I'm wearing yum one. But I did yum one as a knit along on the feral fisherman's cap page.
Oh yes.
And I
Because
made
you can
one.
buy the pattern for them and it supports the museum.
Yeah, it does. So I did that one. But no, that was a really interesting learning curve because I'd not done anything like the brim before.
Oh yeah.
So I had to learn how to do him. But he's lovely and warm. He certainly keeps my ears warm.
Oh yes, because he's got the double brim, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then as well with the brim being feral, then it's really nearly like 3 layers.
Well, it kind of is.
Yeah.
So
That would kick the wind out.
it certainly does. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're good for a tassel.
I did do a tassel.
I see
yeah,
some that they mark them without the tassel.
yeah, no, I like the tassel, and that was another thing I had to learn how to do. So it was fine as well to do that. I made one for my partner as well, and what I did with him is he's a Celtic supporter, so I did the inside row in green and white stripes.
Oh, lovely.
So
That's lovely. And that's the other thing with things is when you're making gifts for folk, then it's special to them.
Yeah.
Because you're putting time and effort into it and
well, this is it.
thought about it.
Exactly.
Something they'll not get anywhere else.
No.
Then where would the word beanie come from then? We wouldn't use that's not Shetland word.
That's
Is this for a hat? Which
Oh,
No, we've never worked with that. That's quite a new one, but I think that's maybe more a Scottish one. I've heard folk using a beanie too.
yeah, because like the roadside beanie, the booster beanie, kind of brought that word. Whereas we would refer to it as toorie.
Yeah. Well, I think a beanie is more a kind of a in between a toorie and a
slouch.
and a cap. I mean, well, I made this. This is my Battersea beanie, and so it's kind of longer, kind of would come further down over your legs, and probably have a turn up, I would think, really.
Yeah.
Although the
booster
beanie doesn't it? No, they don't. So I don't know.
No, I don't know.
There's a discussion piece.
Yeah.
If anybody gets the answer, then that was good.
Signed up the podcast.
But this is now kind of designed as a first knit thing because it's a small stitch repeat and it's just really two colours, so you're not having to think about changing your colours a lot in your, because when you're learning Fair, if you had lots of colours then it's kind of hard to mind it all, isn't it? You're thinking about your background.
Floats and things like that, you can get in a witter or a...
Yeah. That's right, yeah, it doesn't carry the floats very much. And it's in double knitting so it knits up quicker too.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I'm seeing there's at Perry Makers too, that the teacher there, and it's fine for them to see something knit up quickly and get it finished. If it goes on too long then they kind of lost interest, don't they?
Yeah. That's a good one. Pretty headbands is good for that too.
Yeah. We've sometimes even started them with wrist warmers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because you were with Perry Makers, what did you make for your first project?
The first thing that I ever made was just like a strip of different like stitches.
Oh yes.
And that was just a tester, and then the first thing I ever made was the phone case.
Ah yes.
Yeah. And then I went to the lace scarf.
And that was a Fair Isle phone case, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't actually have it with me, but it was just blues and greens. Yeah, it was really good, and yeah, I really enjoyed doing it. It was a star pattern. Yeah. And then I went to the hat. It was I feel like I did kind of jump up quite fast to Fair Isle. But I did enjoy doing it because I'd never done Fair Isle before. That I'd just done like squares at home with Nicole's help. But yeah, with Wilma's help, I did jump quite fast with Fair Isle.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's all knit stitches. If you're knitting in a round, it's all knit stitches, and then it's you're only using two colours in each row. So if the stitch is not one colour, it's the other. So it's technically it's not too difficult. It's maybe just kind of getting your head around it. And I think that's the thing as well. By doing a phone cover, then it's not really got decreases and things. You maybe had a pretty flat, did you, or
no?
Was it just a button?
It just had rib at the top.
Just rib at the top. Yeah. So then you didn't really have decreases and things to think about in the Fair Isle. So
it was good. It was a good starting project.
Yeah. Did you think that was a good? Like if somebody else was starting out, would that be a good? Yeah.
It was really good and it was really relaxing to do. That's what I definitely find with knitting is definitely the relaxation I get out of it. It's just the concentrating, just relaxing. You can do something when you're doing it, like watching TV or speaking to somebody. It's just good to get relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. And do you tack at places, like if you were to go to a cafe or to visit somebody, would you tack your marking with you? Or?
Depends where I'm going, but possibly to like grannies, but yeah, because she's a big knitter as well, so I would bring out, if she had her knitting out, I'd feel good to bring out my knitting as well.
Yeah. And what about your friends at your age? Are you is there quite a few of your friends that knit, or are you more?
Recently I found out a few of my friends knit, which is good. Like it's good to know that like other people knit, because I thought I was the only one, so it's good to know that other people knit, and it's coming back into fashion. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah,
there's a lot of folk. Everybody wants like a yoke cardigan and things
Yeah.
like that, don't they? And for Christmas and stuff.
Everybody seems to be wearing yoke cardigans. It's really good.
Yeah, and especially your generation, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Feels very traditional, very Shetlandy. I like it.
But there's quite a few new kind of contemporary colours coming out in the cardigans, isn't there? And that maybe gives it more modern twist or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And is your friends knitting Fairell, or are they?
Yeah. Well, when I asked them, I said, is it just like rib that you're doing, or are you just doing squares and a blanket? They said, no, we're knitting Fairell hats, we're doing gloves and stuff. I was like, that's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's really encouraging to kind that your generation is, because there's always talk about you kind who's going to be knitting in 20 years time and 30 years time.
Yeah.
And is Fairell going to die out? But so it's really encouraging to hear that there is younger ones knitting. And what about you, Nicole? Because do you have friends?
A few of my pals do knit. I think I've knit more for we started knitting and starting up my own business. I think lots of folk then come forward and say, look at what I knit.
Yes.
Only when it became more public, because before, when I was younger, I never used to really announce that I knitted. Because I kind of kept it hush hush for some reason. I don't know why though.
Yeah, I
don't know where that's come from, because it was like one of the things that kept me so calm during, like, if I was stressed and I did it at a time. So I don't know why that even started. And then when I was like, no, I'm really enjoying this and I'm proud that I knit. So I came in and folk came forward to know I knit too. And it was like, well, yeah, everyone's knitting at home. You should never really say that they are.
Yeah. Well, that's really good. We'll all have to knit more in public now that we can go to cafes and things. And maybe encourage other folk to go, oh, they're all knitting.
Do you always tuck your knitting to a cafe?
Not always,
No.
but I do usually have it in the car with me.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to be doing, if I'm killing an hour while I'm waiting for something else to be happening, then I would definitely get it out then. Yeah. I remember maybe 3 years ago going to a talk at the library and having me knitting with me, and also during the fiddle frenzy, it was the Young Fiddler of the Year competition, and you sit through lots and lots of performances for the whole day and having me Makkin and things, and the number of folk that commented, oh, there's got the Makkin with you. And usually the older generation, but they were surprised that I hate it, and I thought, well, why not? We're sitting here for hours. That might as well make use of the time. And
it's funny how things change, because I went just recently to see my auntie and uncle, and we were speaking about knitting, and it was my uncle's mum, who obviously my granny, who was a big knitter, and he as well. You didn't have your knitting with you tonight, and if Granny was here, she would have had her Makkin, and she wouldn't have sitting in a sitting room without something in her hand. And it is changed days, when you go along a friend's house for a cup of tea, you don't always bring your Makkin with you.
no.
Whereas like in the past, it would just been assumed that you and your friend would have been sitting Makkin while you were having your cup of tea.
Well, and I guess nowadays Shetland was such a different world. I mean, the oil brought so much prosperity, and that before that, then they were having to knit really to make ends meet, and or knit for their own family if they were nothing to sell. So it was, I think we're very lucky to have the choice if we can knit them or not. Or buy a bonny jumper or something from one of the shops locally. I do his lamb jacket with you, I think.
Yes, little flows.
Jumper, I should say, yoke jumper. But tell us about flow.
Yeah, so after years, I think we had, in lambing time, we ended up with 5 carry lambs. And one was this pretty lovely Shetland Gimmer lamb. And I was inspired after Di Perry lamb jacket that you made last lambing.
Oh yes. I think I did that with me.
So I enjoy knitting during the lambing time because it keeps me working. I don't like sleeping in between lambing shifts. So if I have something easy to knit, then it kind of keeps me more alert for my checks. So I thought pretty flow near the Fairell.
That's awesome.
So it was actually a dog jacket, a dog jumper for dashing, and I just kind of got up to the armholes and then freestyled. Just more quickness to make sure I could get something that could fit it. So yeah, she's a pretty bit of a star. She's in Jameson's window at the moment. She's on Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, she's a bit too big for this now. It's a bit more of a snood. So somebody did ask me, was I going to continue knitting jumpers for it? But maybe when she's stopped around, she might get something.
Well, she'll be growing her own cup by then.
Well, yeah, she's got a lovely pair of fleece coming on. So
so the gets quite involved with the lambing and the crafting in general at home.
Yes, I do. Mum, Dad's fair and all their lives, and all our lives we were helping lambing time, clipping time, and as they more new, I am like got my own shifts at lambing and going and helping with the can clipping, and I didn't clip personally. I grew up and.
You take good photos of it and then we can share it.
No, I'm always with the camera, and then came with the main thing caught when I'm sticking my phone in their face. But no, it's kind of fine because obviously coming to knitting later, then it's fine now to hit that full circle. So can you slip the rams, you're involved with the flock health, you can, then you do the whole lambing, and then now you're clipping, can. And then there'll be shipping, selling at the marts and that, and then back to slipping the rams and obviously getting the ooh away to the mill and going and buying it back and back.
Something like that.
Yeah. So it's fine, it's good. Like I like that we sell to the mill as well because it is like less yarn miles. I mean, it's made on the island. You know, importing it in and that, so it's good to ken that probably in years to come be knitting before us, please.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's lovely, and it's just never tried spinning this thing with some of your fleece.
No,
does your mum do that? Or?
Mum did. She did get a wheel before she had a stroke, so that's still in the house. So I'll possibly dabble in trying to spin sometimes, so I'll maybe get along to the guild and see who can help with that.
Yeah, because your mum has been really involved with fleece and knitting and things all her life, hasn't she? And the guild too, she's been a
so I mean, all my mind in, like, they've bred sheep for now, they've entered competitions, won fleece competitions, and she's knitted right up until she had a stroke, and then like after a stroke she learned to knit again.
Oh yes.
So she knitted just kind of teddy bears like we would have knitted at school, and then she's gone back on to knitting lace. So just this past week I was blocking a lace stole she'd done. So I mean, it's amazing to see what she can do with just the use of one hand and a knitting belt.
Wow. Yeah.
That she's learning to do it all again, and it's still an exceptionally fine knitter.
I think they recorded a bit of her for the Shetland Guild's video.
Yeah,
for a week,
did a pretty clip for that just to show, because I have filmed it before and putting it on social media and had photos, and you do get interest from all over the world, because obviously folk do lose the use of hands in stroke or accidents, and do want to ken how to relearn. So
especially if it's been a big part of their life before, or even if it means that they're not able to do some other things, it means they can maybe tack up knitting to fill their time and they feel like they're being useful and being productive.
So no, I mean, she just knitted the whole time, and so it was a big kind of void for her when she could knit. So thankfully there was a couple of ladies at the care centre that could help and got her back on it and kent how to do it. And for then she's just gone from strength to strength, and it is. So that was kind of what also got me back into knitting, was helping her like with cast-ons.
Oh yes.
But then also just seeing like what she could achieve knitting with one hand and relearning at the age she was, and kind of thinking, well, she's managed to do it, and I should be able to do it too. And also having her knowledge as well, like kind of, you would need to draw on that and
And some of the decks and
yeah, just sit and wear like Shan. Obviously working with the circular, it's not so easy for her to help, well, to do it, so she has to tell me how to tack it back and that, so. Whereas when I was working with the double needles, the double pointed, then she could just tack it and do it for me.
Oh yes.
But working with the circular, she used to say, no, you've got to do this to get to the end.
Because she uses the knitting belt, doesn't she, to
Yes.
help her
Yeah.
steady the needle when she's...
She uses the knitting belt and then the limb hand, she gets some kind of in position. So,
yeah.
yeah, there's a pretty clip on like my Insta and my highlights of her marking it. It really is something to see.
Yeah.
So it isn't just plain marking like,
Knit stitches.
yeah,
you know.
it is picking like past the north stitches and tacking ones up. So it is really good to see, and so I'm proud of her that she's managed to get back to that.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And your firm too is flock book registered and with the fine wool and everything.
Yeah, so I mean they've been in the flock book for years, decades, and yeah, it's something that Dad's extremely passionate about, and he's keen to keep the standard up. And
for anybody that doesn't know about the flock book, it's really about the quality of the wool, isn't it? It's
the standard of the sheep. So
it's
yeah, there's a whole standard that is like mouths and feet, and the wool is a big thing of it. And
well, this has been more splendid, lasses. Have a fine yarn and
yeah, it's
something
been
back
lovely.
away. And
It's been very fun. Very light.
yeah, but it's just always lovely to have a cup of tea and a bit of a mac with somebody, and you can never speak about too much macking either.
Yeah.